All right, guys, with corn harvest done, ripping done, cover crop planting behind the corn done, a lot of cotton defoliation done, it's time we turn our attention to what I predicted in August to be our worst crop by far this year, our soybean crop. Now, I know we're definitely not going to break any yield records on this soybean crop, but considering how surprisingly decent our corn crop is, are our soybeans going to do the same thing? I have my doubts. Why is the soybean crop going to do so terribly? Well, let me look. Here's a real thin place of field. It's already popped. I mean, look at they did some terrible, terrible looking soybeans. And then a lot of these beans are flat, don't have any seeds in them just due to the drought. And then the ones that do have seed in them, they're perhaps the tiniest beans I've ever seen. They got bad shape, you know, they're kind of shriveled, just absolutely ugly. It's going to take a whole lot of those beans to make a bushel. Now, I know we're going to have some decent beans, but here, like on the front part of this farm, that is all hill ground, real thin hill ground. It's going to be highly variable. We're going to have some spots with probably almost nothing in there. And we get down in a little flat like right here. I mean, they might be okay, but there's a whole bunch of thin hill ground on this farm, and it's just too hot and too dry for too long. But anyway, Andy and Kelly just finishing up defoliating cotton for the day. I'm gonna go ahead and get the header hooked up, get started cutting these beans. All right, now back this late this summer in August, when I was doing my late season crop tour, and I looked at these beans. I mean, I was just devastated by what I saw. I mean, I was thinking that you know, some places, these fields, you know, we might only be looking at 10 bushel an acre beans, you know, especially on the hillsides. And I showed that there would be better soybeans out here, but overall, I mean, my prediction was that we're going to have by far the worst beans we've had since the major drought in 2007. And I want to say that year we averaged 18 bushels per acre overall on full season beans, and then like 7 bushels per acre on double crop, maybe. I'd have to look back on my records, but I mean, it's just plumb terrible. And I thought this year could potentially give, you know, 2007 a run for its money. But at least on full season beans, now wheat beans might definitely give 2007 a run for its money, but on full season beans, I mean, we got a lot of bad areas like here, but like on this farm, about 20% of this farm is actually good bottom ground that I think is going to be some good beans, you know, maybe 50, 60 plus bushel beans. And then our second farm in Madison County is pretty much all bottom ground, and I think those are going to be some pretty respectable beans. But I think where the beans are going to be good, they're going to be really good. And then I think where the bad spots, where the beans are going to be bad, I think they're going to be really bad. So anyway, first off, what I got to do is I got to get a spot cut out here to park the truck or whatever. It's about 2 o'clock now. Pioneer is supposed to be here at 4 o'clock to cut the variety trials down there in the bottom. So get a spot cut out, get the plots and stuff laid off, and then if I got time before Pioneer gets here, we'll dive off onto some of these hills and see just how bad they're going to be.
Well, welcome to soybean harvest, where you can't even see the combine. I have never seen dust this bad, like, ever. I guess this is what we get with a drought year. But you look at this, almost like a movie scene where he's just gonna pop out of nowhere. So I can't get too close because I really don't see him. These beans are not doing very well at all. So, oh, I could kind of see the flag.
All right, we got test plots laid off. Let's dive off in this field and see what we're dealing with. Now, I'm not going to hide the fact that I've already cut a little beans. I've already cheated. We actually got started cutting beans yesterday. We had about 25 acres to custom harvest just right down the road, and I gotta say those beans did far better than what the farmer was expecting. Are mine going to do the same? I don't think they're going to do far better than what I expected, although it wouldn't take much to do far more than what I'm expecting. However, his were planted in some, for the most part, in some good bottoms, and his were also planted about a week and a half before mine was. So they got more sunlight. They should have set a little bit more yield before the dry weather hits, and then because a good part of it, well, probably 85% of his farm was planted in good bottoms. You know, it went longer without suffering for water. But I gotta say, we were both talking about it when I got done, and like we were absolutely shocked by how well his beans did, and I sure am proud for him. But I don't think there's going to be any surprises out here. All right, we're going around the edge of a terrace. I mean, we're talking about a little bit deeper soil than up on top of the hill. The condition of the plants looks a little better, and yield monitor, well, my yield monitor showing high 20s, low 30s. So, but we got a long ways to go, but initially, I mean, that's about what I thought. I thought kind of the midland areas, that's about where they'd be. We get into sure enough thin spots, there ain't gonna be much out there. We get into some deeper soils, like the bottoms, they'll be a lot better. But just looking at the plants, I mean, the plants do not look good. They don't have that nice, you know, kind of brownish color. You know, you can see, you know, a lot of that black is actually leaves that never fell off because these plants died prematurely. They didn't die naturally and naturally senesce their leaves. You know, they died before they were physically, you know, mature, and that caused all these leaves to get stuck to the plants, and then the amount of dust that's just boiling out of my combine is not something you see all the time. It's shot 17, 15, 16. I mean, they're better than what I thought. I mean, I was thinking 10, so for them to be 33% better than what I thought, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, isn't it? So they got Andy down there in that field that we did where we parked the truck. He's got the drill going, getting cover crops planted. He's planting out the last of the mix that I had behind corn going into cotton. I had maybe probably 5, 6, 7 acres left in the drill, and he's running that out this afternoon, so I know how much seed to order first thing in the morning to plant this. Originally, I was planning on planting this farm in wheat. That would fit my normal rotation. Then I got to looking at, you know, between my wheat acres behind cotton, plus, you know, adding that 60 acres of canola, I'm like, that's just going to be too much. And, you know, wheat's not a big money maker for us at all. You know, and then we would follow wheat up with corn on this, you know, kind of poor, thin hill ground. I got thinking, I want to swap things up a little bit. So we're planting primarily a grass cover crop mixture, and we're going to come back with soybeans again on this farm, which I normally don't do. I don't like planting any crop behind another one, but what we're trying to do is speed up the rehabilitation on this farm. You know, rather than planting wheat on it, that doesn't stand a chance to making a whole lot of money this year. You know, wheat's got a real shallow root system for a grass. It does add a good bit of organic matter to the soil, but as far as the roots really helping build up the soil, I mean, it's a whole lot better than nothing, but there's a lot better options out there. So we're going to bypass the wheat crop, planting primarily a grass cover crop mixture that's going to have a lot of annual ryegrass in there. You know, we planted the same mixture on this ground last year, and they're going to follow it up again this year with pretty much that same exact mixture. And what we're trying to do is, you know, the fragipan is extremely shallow on this farm. So 2 years in a row with a good annual ryegrass in the mix, you is going to go a long ways towards helping dissolve that fragipan, and hopefully just speeding up, you know, how much, you know, quicker this farm becomes more productive. Because we ripped this farm last year after corn harvest, and I would have really expected that to make a big difference in the yields this year with the drought, and it might have made a difference. I mean, who knows what these yields would have been if I hadn't ripped, but the yields are definitely not what I'm expecting. So, you know, even though we put that ripper deep down in the fragipan, you know, that fragipan is a chemical bond between soil particles, and you can physically disturb it, but, you know, soon after you, you know, disturb it, because it's a chemical bond, it'll just seal itself right back up. So we're probably going to sacrifice a little yield next year by following soybeans with soybeans, but soybeans are the cheapest crop to put in right now, and it's just going to allow us to speed up, you know, getting this farm, you know, making it a lot more productive a whole lot quicker. I mean, look at that dust coming just from the header. I mean, you can only imagine what it looks like coming out the back, and I can see over here, I can see pods just popping off and going flying, even though I'm running my reel about as slow as it can go and still actually get, you know, the soybeans in the header, running as high as it can go. And it's how weak the plants are. They not even want to feed in. I mean, I've never seen soybean plants this weak. Well, I wasn't far off on my estimate. I mean, that's awful. It's plumb terrible. There is one bright spot to all of this. At least I won't have to drive down the road and look at them anymore. And then with this being right close to my shopping house, you know, I drove by and looked at them dang here every day. So at least there they will be out of sight and out of mind. But I tell you what, the first few acres of soybean harvest this year has proved one thing: soybeans was not the crop to have in this area. And I know a lot of people went in pretty heavy on soybeans this year just because, you know, they're cheaper to put in. But out of the three crops that we grow, soybeans has handled the drought the worst. I mean, look, I mean, we got a green dust coming up. I can't see my cutter bar for squat. I have a feeling I'm gonna plug this sucker up and not realize it till a slip clutch starts going off, because I can't see anything.
Grain cart point of view. The combine looks like it has a mustache. And I don't know what his plan is. So we're just gonna sit here from this point of view and see what he's got up his sleeve. Because for one, I don't want to get out to have to pull all of that out of there. It was rolling along pretty good, and then just that. Oh my goodness, it's a lot worse off than I thought it was. So, we're getting out to start pulling.
Oh, we hit single digits. We got single digits, only briefly. You know, back during corn harvest, I was talking about that, you know, last farm. You know, how many times I hit 300 bushels per acre on my yield monitor, more time in that one field than I ever have in my previous years of owning the yield monitor. I have a feeling we're going to see single digits on this yield monitor for soybeans, a heck of a lot more than we saw 300 on that yield monitor for corn.
See if we can get a better view of how bad this dust really is, because well, now he's on a short row. Go figure. Look at that. At least he's going into the wind now. Look at this. Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Sorry. This is so bad. I had to get out and pull that out of the header, and it's almost like you need a mask just to be out here.
Say what you want about soybeans though, but I tell you what, once you get done harvesting the field, there ain't much more pretty of a sight, especially this year. I love seeing a freshly cut soybean field. Well, seeing as how it doesn't look like there's going to be any surprises, pleasant surprises on my soybean crop, that's really helped me make another decision. Last fall, I had a spare bin that I wasn't using, that smaller 30-foot diameter, 20,000 bushel bin. Didn't have enough grain to utilize it, so I rented it out to a local farmer for what I thought was a reasonable price, and he thought it was a reasonable price too. It was about half of what a granary would charge you for storage. And anyway, it worked out good for him, helped him market his crop better, made more money, helped me because I've actually made some income on something that I wasn't using that year. And well, anyway, earlier this year he approached me about, you know, renting a grain bin again, and I told him, well, just have to see how harvest progresses, you know, make sure I'm not going to need it. Well, there's no doubt that I'm not going to need it. But I've got two bins left. I've got one 48-foot bin that will hold about 43,500 bushels, and then I've got that 30-foot bin that'll hold about 19 to 20,000 bushels. And anyway, I talked with a farmer and I asked him, well, like, how much storage are you going to need? Like, man, I'll take whatever you got. You know, I'll take the small bin, I'll take the big bin. I think I'll be able to utilize all of it. Seeing as how terrible this soybean crop is, I've got about 640 total acres of soybeans, about 500 of double crop, and about 140 of full season. That small bin will hold everything I can produce as long as my whole farm average is 30 bushels per acre or less. It certainly looks like that's definitely going to be the case, because if these beans are as bad as I'm seeing, my wheat beans are going to be even worse, most likely. So in order to help that farmer out the most and also maximize my revenue, if he still needs that big bin, I'll rent him that big bin. I'll get, you know, a little over twice the rental payment that I'll get for the smaller bin, and then I believe that small bin will hold all of my soybean crop, and we'll be maximizing my equipment. We'll be maximizing, you know, getting extra income in the year that I need it. And I'm not going to say it's going to work out best for everybody, because it's not going to work out well for me since I got that short of a soybean crop that I can actually run into that situation. But that's what we're doing, just to try to maximize the best out of a bad situation. Just trying to maximize our equipment, our infrastructure, and our facilities to every $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 you can get, it's going to help this year. All right, Pioneer showed up, so we get started with these variety plots. I think I got like 11 or 12 varieties here. We're down here in the bottom, good consistent ground, and that's what we're doing. I believe these are more disappointing than those up on the hill. I was expecting, you know, these to be probably close to 60 bushel beans. I mean, in spots they are, but there's a lot in the 40s too, from what I see. But a lot better than what we was doing. But I mean, these should be 80, 90, close to 100 bushel of beans is what this ground is capable of doing. But at least we got to get a good idea of which varieties are the most drought tolerant anyway. Well, it seemed like just like almost instantaneously that sun started going down a lot earlier during the day. It's only 6:30 here, and almost sunset, but it's mighty close to it. I can't see squat here. I done plugged up my header once. I got so much on there that the center belt stopped turning. Of course, the side belts just squeezed it all in there, packed it in, and I couldn't see it, you know, because of all the freaking dust. Anyway, Susanna Wiggins Pioneer just texted me the results of the variety plots, and they was significantly higher than than what I thought. Kind of surprised me. It's like I had final averages, a final average somewhere in the high 60s. I think we had varieties anywhere from 55 bushels up to 80 bushels per acre. Anyway, overall, so far we got right at 30 acres of this 80-acre farm cut, and I mean, I'm surprised. My yield sitting at 29 bushels an acre. That's higher than I thought it'd be. And I mean, we've been primarily cutting on the poor ground on this farm. We got a few more acres of it to cut. And then, the only high yielding stuff that we cut on this farm was down there in the test plots, about maybe half of that bottom. So to have an average of 29 bushels an acre, I mean, that's better than I thought it was going to be. My dadgummit, there it goes again. Can't see because of the dust. Come on, feed in there. Don't make me get off and dig. That's what I'm talking about. These beans are so daggum light and fluffy, and I mean, of course they're standing straight up. They just are having a hard time feeding good. They ain't got no weight in them for the bells to really grab it. Daggum, just look at the dust that's coating my combine. I mean, this stuff is, it's green. I mean, this just ain't soybean dust. We're talking about dust that's probably got a bunch of mold and stuff mixed in with it too. Now, I'll blow this thing off. I'm sure enough gonna have to give me a full face dust mask on tonight. There, I don't need to be breathing this stuff in. I mean, just cleaning this off is probably gonna be bad enough. I hate soybeans. Oh, golly, Bill. I'm gonna be hacking for a while. I mean, just look, that stuff is chock full of mold right there. Nothing but green. I ain't never seen soybean dust that color before. I think a big part of it is all those leaves that are still stuck to the plant probably had, some kind of fungus and stuff on there. I think that's primarily what all that's from. There ain't nothing to those stalks. They cannibalize themselves. They're light. To feed in good on the graper, I mean, it needs to have a little bit of weight to it. Look, I can't see what's going on. I have no idea if it's about to do it again. And all I've cut so far is 30 acres out of our 140 acres of full seasons, and I'm already saying I can't wait till I go get on the cotton picker. All right, we've been cutting literally all day, and this dump right here might get us close to having our first truckload. We cut a total of 31 acres, and it's showing we got 878. We can probably hold, I don't know, probably about another 60 bushels on the truck. Tell you what, absolutely pitiful. We thought we had some bad beans last year. I'd be proud to have last year's beans this year, that's for dang sure. So yesterday when I was combining beans, one of the things I saw that concerned me, other than the terrible yield, was the amount of dust coming up from the front of the header. And not only the amount of dust coming up from it, but the color of the dust. Now I got my air filter pulled out, and look at the color of this dust right here. It's green. It's supposed to be brown. This is green dust. Now, I'm not going to run a bioassay or anything, but pretty sure this dust is chock full of mold, and primarily from all the dead leaves that's stuck on the plant. Normally they desiccate and fall off, and we're just left with the stalk and pods and everything. Not so this year. The soybeans died prematurely, and all those leaves are stuck on there, and I think that they are full of fungus, and that's what's causing this green color. So normally when I'm blowing on air filters, radiator, combine, whatever, normally I'm a big macho man. I don't need no mask, all that kind of stuff. Well, this year gonna be different. These full face respirators could potentially be a lifesaver, because don't know if y'all knew it or not, but my dad actually passed away from a fungal infection. He was cleaning out one of the old buildings right here behind the cotton gin one year. Stirred up some dust and everything. Normally the fungus and stuff, they'll go to your lungs and you'll pass them and it'll clear out after a few days. Well, this fungal infection just so happened to migrate from his lungs up to his brain, and when he got sick, experiencing symptoms and everything, did an MRI and everything, and it looked like he had a massive inoperable brain tumor. But it's like that right there in the center of his brain, no way to access it or anything. And a month later, he was dead. And when they did the autopsy, found out it wasn't a massive brain tumor. It was a massive fungal infection that looked just like a brain tumor on the MRI. So not going to take any chances this year with that green colored dust, whatever. Going to wear my respirator and try to protect myself as much as possible. And yeah, I know I should wear at least a dust mask or a respirator anytime I blow off the combine. But like I said, normally I've been macho and everything, but it's one thing to be macho, it's another thing to be stupid, and I'm not going to be stupid. I preach about safety every year, how I've almost lost my life several times in preaching safety, and that's something else I should be doing myself on a regular basis and preaching on a regular basis, and I'm going to start today. Now this filter right here, it was clean when we started combining soybeans. In total, I think I've cut about 55 acres of beans, and so look at how much dirt is packed in that. And yes, my aspirator up in the filter housing is working properly. It's all clean and everything, and it's sucking as much dust as it can out of the air that's going into the air filter. But when you're dealing with as much dust as we can, it'll only do so much. And I'll make this thing look good, don't I? Alright, back to cutting. Beans are still a little tough out here from the heavy dew that we had. Ever since we got that rain, I don't know, a week and a half ago, we've been having real heavy dews again, and beans are still a little tough. But after seeing how dry the beans got yesterday afternoon, we were seeing like some 8-9% soybeans. That's weight that we're giving away, basically, that we could be selling. So trying to get out here and get as many of these beans cut while they're still tough before the moisture on them drops again, because soybeans pick up moisture real easy overnight from the dew. Good Lord, the freaking dust is insane. Anyway, they're showing about 14% on my monitor right now. So all it is, it doesn't make it's not going to make a big difference in the overall yield, but every extra pound we can get on this soybean crop is much needed. So we got a couple hills left here, and then we'll get down there in the bottoms, hopefully get into some lot better yields, at least based upon what my test plots looked like yesterday.
Try not to get too close because the stuff is really bad, but look at that. Ooh. There was a southern wind. Now why is it coming towards me? I was trying to get away from it. Now it's coming this way. I'm gonna have to retreat in a minute. I see these beans. It's insane. Woo!
Alright, we don't have a whole heck of a lot left in this bottom. A big part of it was test plots, but just look at the difference in color between these beans down here in the bottom and what, I was just harvesting up on the hill. The only leaves left on here are pretty much green leaves where the stalk is still green. All of these beans died naturally and dropped all of their leaves, and I mean, you don't see near the dust off the header. Don't get me wrong, these beans were still moisture stressed. They still hurt for water, and we're not going to see top end yields. But I mean, we're over 60 bushels an acre. I mean, I mean, these are some good beans. So this is what my goal is, to get on cover crops. You know, not only to build organic matter in the soil to where the soil can hold more water to get us through these drought periods, but primarily to bust up that fragipan to where roots can access water below that fragipan and it can freely move up towards the roots. You know, we do that, the sky's the limit on, you know, potential for production and drought proofing our soil. See, right here in the bottom, it's got a fragipan, but it's deep underneath because this topsoil hasn't been eroded away like the topsoil on the hill has been. Now, I don't know how deep it is here, but I guarantee you it's probably at least 2, maybe 3 feet deep easily. So all the plant roots have access to a lot bigger reservoir of moisture to sustain them during drought periods than what we do up there on the hill, where, you know, we might only have 5, 7, 10 inches of topsoil at most before we hit that fragipan that the roots can't penetrate, and moisture has a super hard time either moving down through the fragipan or back up through the fragipan so the roots can access it. Guys, if I can ever get this fragipan eliminated, and it can be done, it's been done before, it's been proven in Kentucky, I saw it with my own eyes this spring. If we can get rid of that fragipan, you want to talk about lowering risk in crop production, for me anyway, it's going to be huge. You know, if we can do that, I will then have the confidence that I can plant any crop I want on any field I want in any year that I want. And also these soybeans down here, I mean, they're feeding into the head like they're supposed to. I mean, look at them flow towards the center. They don't have all that light fluffy material, the leaves and stuff still stuck on them, and these beans are going in the head just like they're supposed to be, not having any problems with choking that feeder up. Yes sir, now that's what I'm talking about right there. I cut these kind of beans all day long. I cut these kind of beans all day long. Unfortunately, we just got like 2 or 3 more acres right here in this field, and then we've got an 8-acre field right across the creek before we go back up on some thin hill ground.